Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tiny Ghost Chef Games. We are here. I'm here with my players from What Lies Below for a little post-mortem morsel, where we're gonna eat some snacks and talk smack. Nope, we're not talking smack. We're gonna talk about this series and how our characters and how much we loved it. And I would love everyone introduce yourself, tell us who you are, who you played, and what you're snacking on. I, for instance, am your ghostly host, Dan the Baker, and I'm eating homemade peach crisp. Tanner.
I'm Tanner as an arrow, the happiest boy in the world, happy from playing the saddest boy in the world, and I've got Trader Joe's ranch chips. That's me.
Sid.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cindy Matea. I did play Elle, and I'm no longer heartbroken, and I'm also drinking an undisclosed liquid in a Hungry Hungry Caterpillar mug, along with 3 Oreo Thin Mints, because it's all I had left.
VJ.
Hi, my name is VJ Harris. I played our favorite little sludge boy, Slojo / Slore. And right now, I am also drinking an undisclosed liquid, plus some water on the side, and the world's most disappointing bag of salt and vinegar chips. Don't eat Uncle Ray's.
This is anti-sponsored.
Uncle. It's bad.
Anti-sponsored by
Uncle Ray. All bad. No uncles.
On our show, we
While
call
you're
that,
at it.
instead of calling that a shout out, we call it a shout at. So it's a shout at.
Yeah.
Period. And I am Jamie. I played the wonderful Luann Washington, but you can call her Honey. All her friends did. And I have a mostly empty box of Cheez-Its and kombucha. Because I'm behaving myself.
Mm-hmm. Unlike some people.
You can just say my name, Dan.
But I didn't have to. But yeah, I'd love to start this off. I would love for you guys just to talk about your inspirations for your characters. Like if you had a specific person in mind when you were making them, or a specific archetype, or like a central theme around them while you were making them. Whoever wants to go first.
Well, I loved Kyle XY when I was younger. Like he, for those of you that don't know, government experiment. I vaguely remember the plot, but like had never experienced the world before. Like was just there as an adult, and I was like, man, I really like the idea of just like a person, an entity that like doesn't know anything about the world. And I loved the alien like thing from. It was my favorite class from Midnight on Roseville Beach. So I picked the class and I was like, how does this work? I was like, ooh, Kyle XY. So that's kind of where I got my little guy.
Did Moore also not have a belly button? Because that's all I remember about Kyle XY.
It depends. Does regular Moore have a belly button?
You know what? For fun, no.
Okay, then I guess when Slore was Slore, Slore didn't have a belly button. Hey, did JoJo have a belly button?
You never asked.
Was the belly button on the art?
No, I don't think so. Actually, was there
Wait,
one?
actually,
I need to pull
it probably
Let me do some investigative work.
Hold on.
Because we did the full body.
Yeah, and your
I'm
shirt
not
was
sure.
open.
Yeah.
But was the shirt buttoned towards the bottom?
No, it was wide
Can
open.
confirm belly button. Belly button confirmed.
Okay,
Liars. A bunch of liars.
correct.
Me, I asked the GM.
Look at it. There it is.
Much like
Look at it.
Look at
Yeah.
it.
much like the majority of this series, I'm making it up as I go along. Okay.
And you're doing great.
Okay. What about anyone else? What were you thinking, character-wise?
I'm going to be so honest and say that every time the weather gets warm out, I picked a true crime thing to rabbit hole down. And for the past couple of years, it has been the Manson tip. I'm about halfway through Helter Skelter at the moment, if anyone was curious. And so I fear that that was my inspiration. As soon as I learned our time period, I was like, well, normal scandals are boring. This could be fun.
I do. In a second, I'm going to ask you to talk more about that because we never really dove super deep into Honey's what she had going on. first I'll let Tanner, Sid.
I will say I had a bit of an easier job when it came to character creation because I joined a little later. So y'all had chosen your classes, so I had a few things that I could choose between to avoid repetition, and I love birds a lot. And being it was my first actual play, I wanted to do something close enough to home that I wouldn't feel so intimidated by hopping into anything. So I looked at the shifter and immediately was like, oh my god, bird. And it was less inspiration and more, I was looking through songs, so I didn't have like a character inspiration, but I listened to Renegade by Styx on repeat while I was making L, and I really just liked the idea of impulse character who could hop at every single thing, even if it was a red herring, to just be like, what does it mean? And would have to suffer the consequences of what does it mean later on. So I think it was more, how do I play a support in this position where I'm hopping in a little bit later and wasn't there for the character creation and could make somebody that would be helpful to the party, but also equally enthusiastic and a little impulsive.
Yeah, definitely. Elle, I think, like, when you first described Elle to me, I think that, like, one of the things you were like, is, like, she's just down for anything. Like,
yes.
She'll jump in it. Like, she'll jump in, head first into whatever comes her way, and I'm like, that's the perfect character for this. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
Tanner, what about our saddest boy Jojo?
I think I don't know, it just kind of like fell together. I think I did want to, because I haven't gotten to play very much, so Jojo did feel a little bit like me plunging into the depths of my young adulthood, of my sad boy years. And ultimately, the main thing that I really wanted to hone in on was the redeeming qualities of JoJo. Just because, if I'm being so real, without like being heavily redeemable in terms of JoJo's support of the people around him and his ability to realize that he's made mistakes and change from that, he's terrible. he's so so self-absorbed in a negative way that he's kind of one of those people that just is like, man, I just want to get over yourself. So it was important to me to not be a burden to the party in that regard, but I wanted to explore something in a coming of age sort of way, where as much as JoJo had really good people around him and that was very solid for him, his own journey of a relationship to himself was something he could not do at all. So there's this weird dichotomy of his inability to learn about himself and engage with himself, but a prowess in engaging in the people around him was just something that kind of blossomed from me making the character. And also the witch class felt like it kind of fell in line with that, and the kind of artsy aesthetic that I came up with for JoJo kind of felt like it went hand in hand with a kind of sad boy type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that like you really drove home like kind of his sense of self-importance almost, with like, because he was so prone to monologue even in his own internal thoughts. But I will say the monologues were my favorite part. I said this in the chat earlier, that there's something in Tanner's voice when you get to that, like the register you did most of those in, that it like hits something, and I'm like, I feel like I black out and I forget the last like 5 minutes of what happened, which is awful when I'm editing and I'm like, wait a second, I need to be doing things with this. Like I remember in the first episode in the section where like everyone is describing the bungalow for the first time when you guys are all returning home, and like you were talking about like all the like the quiet corners and like the vibe of it, and I was like, oh, like my brain is doing backflips to the sound of this. And I'd love to know actually, when did you come up with, Tanner? When did you decide that you wanted VJ's character to take over JoJo for the 50-year time skip? When did that like hit your brain? Because that was your brainchild.
Was that post episode 2, VJ? It was right after episode 2, I think.
It had to be, because it definitely wasn't episode 1, and we had to like discuss it before episode 3 showed up. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it was right after episode 2. I'm reading the message I sent to VJ right now. As soon as you mentioned that you're secretly overtaking somebody's body in the current moment, and that's something that so you kind of gave us some meta knowledge about that, and truly, I was worried because it felt like such an outlandish idea, and also it really kind of defined it like defined the character arcs for for JoJo and more. It was pretty obviously integral to both of them. So I was worried in pitching it to VJ. I didn't want VJ you to feel pressured to like go with this thing because it was so, for lack of a better word, invasive to, you know, kind of just living in the moment in the actual play. But it felt so right, so I was so happy when you were interested and down, and we started talking about it more. And I think I couldn't have asked for it to work out better in terms of, you know, tying in our stories together and adding in a crazy, really unique element to a character dynamic that I struggle to think of anything comparable, if I'm being honest, is really cool. And I'm really thankful to have gotten to do that with you. And don't think that it could have been pulled off with many other performers. So that the prowess with how well that turned out, I put squarely in VJ's hands. I was the ideal guy. VJ handled the execution of it. I feel really, really well, and I'm very thankful to have gotten to do that with you.
And what I was never apprehensive at it. There was a little bit of like, because I told Dan like, hey, I want to address the fact that I have stolen this man's life. Like I was like explicitly wanted to do that, and I didn't know how that would go and whatnot. And then you brought that up, and I was like, I don't know how we do this. And there was a little bit of worry. It's like, would it mess up whatever Dan has planned for me with more? But then we talked about it a little bit, even like, hey, I don't know how this would work. And we came to that conclusion, like, we'll just have to loop Dan in. And then bada bing, bada boom. My only biggest worry ever was I have to, like, my hard line was I have to go back to more. Like, I love that guy. I had to go back to my man.
Yeah.
And
I do think more like as a character, kind of it reminds me of Dimension 20. Oh my god, what is it called? The space one.
Oh, Starstruck Odyssey.
Starstruck.
Odyssey?
Yeah, Starstruck Odyssey. I could not remember the word Starstruck. Starstruck Odyssey of the brain slug. And like I remember there was like kind of a discourse with the fans of like, because they like brushed against it, but they never really dove deep into the fact of like, oh hey, this is a thing that's like fully taking over the autonomy of this guy, and it's never really discussed of like, hey, that's kind of bad, like that's like, you know, what's going on with it. So I knew when you pitched more to me, after like thinking about it, I was like, I need to like have it where like there is a confrontation between actual Moore and like the sludge Moore. Like that was like the, you know, seeing like your reflection in the mirror, and having those little voices in your back. Like I think having the guilt eating at the sludge Moore was also like a nice touch on VJ's part. But I do think, just going back to like the VJ or the Moore and JoJo of it all, the decision to have Moore at the very end to not forgive JoJo, I think was so good and like so powerful, because it'd be so easy, because it's the very end, it'd be so easy to be like, and eventually Moore forgives Jojo, like, and they, like, make up or something, but to, like, I think there's, like, because, like, it was 50 years of silence, you know, like, that's something that would be so hard to forgive. Yeah, I would love to know, like, was that something, VJ, that you were like, I don't think he could ever forgive him, or was that, like, in that moment you were just like, I know it's not gonna happen?
First thing I want to say is, if Josephine hadn't died, Moore would have forgiven him by the end of it. Like, he would have been pissed off with him, but it'd been like, okay, fine, I filled my life up with other people, I wasn't alone, I would have liked to have you there, but Josephine dying and Jojo not showing up for him was just like the like the straw that broke the camel's back. And because I'd always, like, after the third episode, I'd been thinking about, like, man, we're gonna have to separate. We know this is happening. How does Moore feel about that? Especially with Josephine. What does that look like? And I think because in his head, if he'd had more time with Josephine, he probably would have fell in love with her in a way that, like, he recognized a lot of humans around him are falling in love with people. And that just kind of, like, broke something in him that Jojo was a part of, that, like, pain of it all, that Moore just never could, like fix it in the way he fixed other things, you know, with his own stuff. And honestly, I feel like 100 or so years go by and he eventually, like, starts to piece that back together and forgives Jojo, but at that point, you know, all of his friends are gone, so.
Sid and Jamie, you guys did not know that was going to happen, that the merge was going to happen. Y'all's reactions to it in that moment, I think, were so iconic. I'd love to know, like, what was going through your heads, actually, like, when you were hearing, like, were you just so confused, or, like, what was up with that?
I mean, I'll speak for myself first. JoJo is so heartbreaking for so many reasons, and I think seeing a character give into that darker ideation and feeling and sinking into it was just so... It made so much sense, and even though, like, we as the audience in that moment were like, no, don't do it, like, you can get through it, it's okay, like, I think I just found myself at a lot of moments with JoJo, like, watching and being like, no, he's gonna make the other choice, like, he's gonna fight it, he's gonna get out of it. So it was like a combination for me, at least, of, like, disbelief, on another hand being like, this is super queer, and then, like, back to, like, oh, like, I wish this person had someone in this moment. Like, I wish I could do the meta thing and have Elle just sweep in and be like, I know you're hurting, like, let me be there with you, let me hold your hand, but it's so realistic, and I think that's what hurts so much, is, like, when you have that option, when you're in that space, like, the easiest thing to do is sink into it. So I think it was, like, just horror and sadness, and also it's kind of gay, and, like, just watching delightedly in the mix of those three things.
I believe the line was, put me to better use. That's the gayest shit I've ever heard. What are you doing?
No,
like, it was such a perfect storytelling choice. I absolutely agree. And, like, as a viewer, it makes so much sense. I'm done. I didn't see it coming. I was gagged.
Yeah.
You're not dumb,
yeah.
but it did, like, I watched.
I do have a master's degree, but
yeah, I was about to say, I watched it creep the realization, like, it wasn't like a stark revelation. It, like, creeped into your guys' heads, and I think that was probably the most fun aspect of the whole thing, was watching it, like, slowly infest the reality of what was happening in your guys' minds. That was my favorite part of your reactions.
Bro, you're sick. That shit was crazy.
Yeah. Jamie, my favorite moment from this, I have so many favorite moments, but, like, my favorite moment as a GM and, like, as a storyteller was Honey saying yes to the entity. And, like, choosing that freedom and choosing to let him in. And that was something I was like, in that moment, I was like, I need to control my face, because I can't let anyone else know that this is happening, like, narratively. And I wish I could see everyone's reactions do that. Like, we kind of get it later in the episode when people realize after Honey leaves. But I'd love to know, like, what was your thought process, you know, in that moment, and like that led you to that decision. And also, I think a lot of that does have to do with Honey's past, like with, you know, the Manson-esque past that she has. So if you want to touch on that and describe what your thoughts on that were, yeah.
I would love to. So, I mean, part of it is I work as a psychologist. I work with a lot of kids who come from rough backgrounds and who spend most of their, you know, teenage years and their early adulthoods fighting for every second. And knowing how exhausting that is, to have someone offer you, you don't have to fight anymore. Everything will be fine. You get to stop trying. You get to go to sleep. Not to put too fine a point on it, but especially as a Black queer woman, to realize that suddenly you don't have to be the one who is looked to be brave and to be strong and to hold everybody together. I just thought about what a relief it would feel like for her to finally stop running. And we touched on it a little bit within the campaign, but Honey spent some time in a cult. I don't know that she was directly responsible for murder, but she definitely knew what was going on and didn't stop it, which I think she blames herself for in a big way. And I love my accessories.
Wild thing to say. Yeah, I think when you first like pitched it to me, you didn't even really have all the details. Like maybe you might have had them in your brain, but you didn't put them down to paper. Of just like she just was involved with something bad that went south, and she needed to get out. And like she can't use her own name because if they find her, it'll be very bad for her. Either like if the cult finds her, or if the cops find her, or if some people that the cult owes money to find her. Like there's so many people who are probably looking for Honey. Because it's like kind of like almost like Honey just knows too much.
Yes.
Yeah, so like I think you could definitely see the way like when you were saying yes to it, like there was almost a relief, you know, in Honey, of saying yes to this entity, of like letting go of consequences. Because that kind of became the central theme of the story, is this sense of consequence. Of, you know, actions versus consequences, actions versus intent, versus impact, and things like that. And I think, yeah, like Honey's choice in that moment became such like a central, like plot point in that, like, in that story of this. I think.
Can I ask Jamie a question about that?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, go for
it. Jamie. So I haven't watched back your scene with the entity yet. I've been saving it because I was so curious, and I wanted it to be a surprise for myself, but then I was like, oh my god, no, I just have to ask Jamie directly. Was Honey's choice to leave something the entity asked her to do, or something that she felt she had to do after she left the door open? Or left a crack in the door?
Yeah. That was a choice that she made. Because she knew that her friends would be disappointed in her, and the only thing that she was more afraid of than facing up to what she'd done was disappointing the people who cared about her. And she thought that it would be easier if she just left.
I have a follow-up question for that. Do you think you wouldn't have been able to hide it from us?
I don't know. We know Honey's a good liar. But I think that she just would have stewed with it, and I think having to go downstairs and burn pancakes and look in the face of the people who trust her and know that she betrayed that trust was too much for her.
Third question, how dare you? No.
No, but really, no.
But yeah,
I second that third question.
Because, yeah, the entity didn't mention leaving at all, like, in their little offer to you. It was just like, the people won't ever come after you. Like, you can use your name again. Like, you're free from the consequences of your past. And I do remember when we were going to, like, I was, you know, after the sealing and everything happened, and we were talking about like what happened in the following days and months and whatever, I almost messaged Jamie, I think it would be interesting if Honey left. And then I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I want to see what Jamie does. And then the first thing you did was like, when's the fairy leave? And I was like, this is why you're the best.
My heart,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
I felt nauseous about it, but it was like,
Yeah.
It was
fun.
so good. It was so
fucked
good.
Yeah. Also, not to like speak on behalf of your character or anything, but like also very clearly Honey is very impulsive as well. So the like gut reaction of like, I gotta get the fuck out of here makes sense. And to carry that all the way through Honey's life to the moment where Honey comes back and is still in a defensive mode where she's acting like an asshole to everybody the moment that she gets back was also just so fantastic to make the reunion such a tailspin even after so much time had elapsed, because the exit of everybody was such a tailspin. But it didn't feel like it felt like it privately to everybody, but your decision to do that with Honey, I think, made it public, and it was great. It was so good in the return back of just how hostile everything was, and I really appreciated that.
like the reunion was so tense that Jamie, was like nervous about it.
Yeah.
I was like, I love these people. This is going to be a shit show. And I'm scared.
No.
Yeah. I remember during that, I was like, the GM, because like most of that was you guys just letting the scene live, and I was just sitting back, and I'm sitting here, and I'm like, should I step in? Do I need to like, do we need to pump the brakes? And you can see me so many times being like I'm about to say, let's take a break, and you're like, actually, one more thing.
And another thing, I was never gonna say anything. I did not have it in Elle's mind that she would ever explode. I think she was just gonna take it, and then you fucking put out the ash
Oh, yeah.
over the floor, and I was like, fuck a break. I got so... Like, I was like, oh my god, like, Elle's upset. Like, she's actually really, like, it went from, like, I'm really uncomfortable and this sucks, but we'll get through it, to, like, how dare you? Like, I was like...
We made
It
it like
was so
2.5 hours in before anybody rolled anything. It was
Yes,
literally
we
Yeah.
absolutely did.
Yeah.
We absolutely did.
days of our lives.
I felt really great about the reunion because I was over here like, okay, there's only one thing that Moore did wrong, and that was not saying goodbye to Elle, and it was gonna be fine, right? Because we stayed in contact for 50 years.
You know, Jojo said bye to me? That's crazy.
Jojo kind of lied also, though, because Jojo didn't say that he was
Yeah.
going
Exactly.
to
And
the
JoJo
attic
never once
forever.
wrote you back. And also, I was just like, there's no way Moore will be able to take over JoJo like this if he also says goodbye to Elle, because you're essentially losing two people at that point. You're losing
Yeah,
both
it's
of us for a bit.
the abandonment issues on this girl goes crazy.
I know, but I felt good about it because I was like, okay, Elle's going to get me back for that, but we're going to be fine, and like, because we kept that
Yeah.
relationship this entire time. And then me, VJ, was like, that's the only thing I have to feel bad about. The other two, though, they're in trouble. They have no high ground to stand on.
No.
And actually said, kind of on that note, I'd love to know what went into your decision, or I guess Elle's decision to stay in Roseville Beach.
Yeah. I mean, I had it kind of early in my mind that I really wanted to stay, because I really always like the idea of the character that has to deal with the consequences and that theming of everything we've been putting together, and it made sense to have this. I'd never had her in my mind as like a big sister or anyone who would be so like, I was like, okay, support, she'll be here if anyone needs anything, but she kind of accidentally turned into like, no, like, come back, it's okay. Yeah. And I think the idea for her of, if these people come back to this place and she's not there to greet them, it would feel worse than leaving. Like, so I think in her mind, she held out hope for probably all of those 50 years up until her wife died, that they were going to come back at some point and say something, or they would get dinner and it would be okay. And yeah, I think she just really wanted to be the person that if somebody came back, that she would be there. And I think she gave up on that after her wife passed, because it was like the worst thing ever. And then she didn't know how to deal with it. But other than that, too, she felt a lot of responsibility in the short term for the drawing she did that ended up causing Vic to go crazy and look at the sun. So I think in the very short term of just staying in Roseville, she was like, I have to make sure that that doesn't happen again and that he's okay. And if I could lighten the burden of... I called him a kid when I was playing because I'm older than him, but, like, Elle is his age. So I think she was like, here's this guy who's as freaked out as I am about all of this. Maybe he just needs a buddy. And I think they had very good buddy cop silly times in their early 30s.
Yeah, there's a spin-off for that, I'm sure. Yeah. Jamie, you had a question?
I did. I wanted to know, Sid, tell me more about Betty.
Oh my god! I mean, I think... I love women. I wanted to make somebody who was just such a, like, calm to Elle's craziness, and I was trying to think of what that would look like, because I didn't want it to just be, oh, I met somebody that was like Honey, but I think Elle was very melodramatic and 20 years old and said I'm never dating again, and then met somebody like how many ever months later and was like, oh my god. But Betty was just this very down-to-earth person. She was coming from New York, where she was having a lot of fun, but she wanted somewhere a little calmer to settle, and things were crazy in the city, and so she ended up going to Roseville. They worked at the community center together, very, like, we touched over like a thing of basil. But, like, I think they just had a very sweet dynamic, and Elle, I think at that point of everything that had happened, was looking for something that could ground her, that could stop her from moving, because all she had done since everything had happened was find another job and take more hours at the library and do her runs, and what if this guy's being sketchy, and are we sure we checked on the seal 20 times, and Betty was the person to be like, hey, yes babe, we could look at the eldritch horror that's underneath our city, but also, like, have you gotten sleep in the past 10 nights? And I think Betty was just this very grounded, good person in her life, who was also, like, fucking badass, who I think was this, like, very beautiful, strong butch lady who fucking commanded some respect, and Elle was like, I like that.
At what point in the relationship did you, like, fill Betty in on everything? Because, like you just said, like, when did we get there? I
think it didn't take her that long, because it's that same fear that hit with Vic, that what happened to all of us wouldn't have happened if somebody like, I forgot the name of Vic's dad, or Vic's uncle?
His uncle, Marcus.
Marcus. If Marcus had been... She gets the burden of you. It's like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like, you can't tell somebody that there's vampires running around at night, because either no one will believe you, or they will and they'll do something really stupid. But I think to the people in her life, she wanted to make sure that as soon as she knew, she was like, oh, I really feel something for this person, and I cannot imagine what happened to us happening to her, just accidentally stumbling into something or encountering. She probably told her after, like, you know, you hit that 3-month mark of like, oh, are we gonna break up or keep going? Her 3-month mark was like, hey, there's eldritch horrors in this place. You want to, like, get a house? Like, that
and
was
I'm a bird.
her pitch. Yeah, and I'm a bird.
You want to adopt children? Or
Yeah.
foster children, I guess? Yeah.
I think she hit 3 months, and she had a really awkward conversation with Betty where she was like, I have to tell you something, and Betty was like, oh, this is it. And she was like, I can turn into a crow sometimes. So I think that was a very good night of drinking and a lot of confusion.
Yeah. Also, as soon as you told me about Ray and May, like your adopted son and granddaughter, that I literally, as soon as you told me, I decided I was like, that little girl's gonna be a bird.
Oh, that killed me.
Yeah.
That was such a beautiful moment, and I nearly got really scared, because when you had them come to the house, I was like, oh, that's just a really fun backstory for me to know going into playing, and I was like, are you gonna kill my grandchild? Are you gonna hurt my grandchild? Is she hearing voices? Did she make a deal? I was so paranoid that you were going to do something to them. I was very happy that they were safe and good.
No, I would never. I'd love to open the floor if anyone has any burning questions for other players, for me, for just like the group in general. Hit us with a shot.
I do have a burning question, Tanner. 2 parts. 1, do you think... Hold on. Actually, I sent these to Sid.
You did? We were chatting about what to ask JoJo.
Okay.
They're peer-reviewed.
Okay.
What?
Okay,
I didn't study.
First part, so the full thing, do you think JoJo and Moore lived together in the bungalow that, like, whole time after that? And do you think that JoJo was constantly letting Moore know what he was doing with his life, so Moore knew he was living a life that Moore might have been proud of after the 50 years of just silence?
Ooh. Right, because Moore stayed, right? So, okay.
I think everyone stayed after the. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just those two moved out. And there's no wrong answer here, right? Moore's good either way.
Yeah. I don't know. You know, maybe JoJo probably would have stayed in Roseville, Brindleville, Brindleville or whatever. But you know, now that I think about it, might have gotten a place on his own to kind of exemplify, you know, creating some kind of a life on his own, trying to do what he can. And I think if it was evident to JoJo that true forgiveness wasn't going to be, you know, given, then he probably wouldn't bother Moore very much. It would probably be more like slip into kind of a passive kind of relationship, where he would want to live by example rather than trying to, like, you know, he would feel that it would be unfair to, like, check in with Moore then after that. So he would just be like, I need to do my own thing and, you know, and try to make Moore proud from afar rather than, you know, try to reopen any wounds or anything. Also, slight tangent. I want to be super clear, and I feel like you guys know this, but just in case for the audience, that JoJo didn't hear anything that was, like, reached out to. He wasn't aware of anything. So had JoJo been aware of the things that were being reached out to him for, he would have totally, like, come out of, you know, of the slumber or whatever we want to call it. But so, like, that was not on purpose. But what was on purpose was going so deep that he wouldn't hear anything, which was a choice in and of itself. Because if I would have realized that Moore wasn't going to forgive JoJo, I probably would have had JoJo do something different. But I love that was taken out of my and JoJo's hands, because JoJo took communication out of everybody else's hands in such an invasive way. I just wanted to clarify that. But yeah. He'd probably go do his own thing and try to live by example.
I do want to say, I think it might have taken a couple of years, but they would have eventually gotten to, like, a, hey, I forgive you 85%, and the other 15 just aren't coming back. And I think Moore would be very, like, open and upfront about that, because I think, like, did need space from you, but also eventually was like, man, I do miss you. And like, because he missed you for 50 years. And while he needed the space, eventually a couple of years goes by and it's like, hey, I miss you, come around more often. But this is kind of where we're at, and we're never going to get back to where we were, but I still want you in my life. Kind of situation. But again, you can't be around on Josephine's birthday or the day of her death, then, because there will be some...
I think JoJo religiously respects whatever boundaries would be there for sure, till his dying day. So, but I'm glad that he got to get to 85%. Because also it was important to me that
That's a
JoJo that's a B, and you know what they say about bees.
They sting
I'm
you.
allergic.
What did they say?
They get degrees, and they sting you if it's allergic.
I'm not actually. I don't know why I said that.
But
Just lying. Just bald-faced lying.
I love
that's
lying.
crazy. That's crazy. It was important to me that JoJo was able to put something together at the end of his life. But it was also important to me that it was kind of a shell of what it could have been, and that JoJo did kind of, like, face consequences of, like, he wasn't unhappy, but he just didn't live a life. And might have been a totally different person had he allowed himself to do that. So a lot of what he was doing was just trying to, like, make up for that in the few years that he had left. at the end of everything. So, but it was important to me that, he had something to be satisfied with by the end of all of it. Also, to randomly springboard, I want to highlight the moment that I'm really thankful for, again, with Jamie and establishing the dynamic between Honey and JoJo in episode 4, where we're both like, hey, we're fuck ups, but we got each other at the very least, because I think that was important in moving things forward and beginning things on the path of redemption for both our characters, who approached fear and cowardice in such interesting, similar yet very opposite ways. Jamie, I was thankful for that moment between us, that we got to create that dynamic. Especially, I can't remember, I don't know if it made it on camera or not, but because up to that point, I felt like JoJo and Honey were doing a Frodo Legolas thing and had not talked that much. So it was my goal to be like, I gotta make sure that Honey and JoJo have a impactful relationship or conversation at the very least at this moment.
It was actually really special to me because I felt like, of the people in the house, they were the two who were the least connected. I mean, obviously they were all friends, but I feel like they spent the least time together, had the least in common. And so having him kind of extend her that olive branch was really, really special. And I think it kind of bridged the gap to at least cooperation, if not immediate forgiveness, that we needed to move forward.
And I think, hopefully I'm not fully talking out of my ass in this, but it feels like to me that if that conversation between JoJo and Honey didn't happen, we would not have gotten the ending with Honey and Elle that we did. I feel like it could have gone down such a different route if Honey was left alone that night to her own feelings, and the last thing she heard was Elle yelling at her to get her shit together.
Listen, I'm not saying she didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
But
I would love to, because we haven't talked about it, I would love to talk about the love story of the century, which is Honey and Elle. Especially, just because it was Jamie, you were the one who kind of started that snowball rolling, right? On a whim in the first episode, right?
yeah, I believe Sid was describing their character, and I was being dramatic, and I fanned myself, and Sid was like, "Oh, bet, done."
Yeah. Immediately.
So, fun fact for the audience: we had a session 0, but Sid was not able to join us for that session 0. So this was our first time meeting. We had not discussed this, but we I don't know, there was some lesbian energy in the air or something, because we were on the same wavelength immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, the having crushes on each other and not having and having that fear of telling each other is such a relatable thing to experience. I feel not to stereotype, but really especially for lesbians or for women loving women relationships. And I think it was just so the lovers to haters to lovers again, to haters to enemies, lovers to enemies to lovers again.
I'm still a hater.
Yeah. It was just
Me and my beautiful wife who hates.
Yeah. VJ?
Did you two get married?
Oh my god, this is such a good question.
Oh my god, it's legal now.
It is legal now, yeah.
I mean...
We were gay in the 70s in North Carolina. What did you think we were going to do?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm so honest, I think there is such an element of Elle feeling I have to start this back, and I promise I'll get to the point, I won't just tangent, but a lot of Elle's feelings over the 50 years and why it came out the way it did after she saw Honey again was she felt guilty that she hadn't done enough. Like, and I think it came out a little bit when we were talking on the beach where Elle apologized for never asking why she had came to Roseville. She was like, oh fuck, maybe if I had known more, if I had spent less time up here doing my craziness and more time just looking at her and talking to her, that maybe she would have felt comfortable or safe enough. And obviously, like, none of that, you know, people will do what they will do. Like, the circumstances Honey were in were really intense, so it might not have mattered how much conversation she had, but she somewhat blamed herself. And I think a lot of their relationship when they're older is a lot of Elle being very straightforward and to the point with her if something's happening. A very, like, I think she says I love you pretty freaking quickly after they get together. Like, I don't think she's beating around the bush, both because they don't have time, and also she just doesn't want anything left unsaid with Honey. So I definitely can see, like, if they were like, we're gonna move in together, like, Elle does a really stupid proposal with, like, a house key, probably. Like, I could so see the two of them getting married if Honey would be amenable to it.
I think so. I think that Honey is a little crotchety about it at first. I think there's a lot of, I don't want the government in my business. But I can
so
absolutely
fair.
see, even if they don't fill out all the paperwork, I think there's a cute little, like, beachside civil ceremony with their friends.
Yeah.
Elle's granddaughter is absolutely the flower girl.
Yes.
And then we all...
Feathers.
I'm so sorry, Jojo.
Oh, it's you,
can't be the
Jojo?
flower
So
girl.
sorry.
And then I think we all go to the Screw's Turn and get really drunk, and it's a really good time.
Yes. Oh my god, yes. No, I love them so dearly, and I was so happy when there were so many, like, I think it was after episode 1 that you messaged me and you were like, so what do we think for their 50-year love story? It was like either like episode 1 or 2 that we were like trying to map things out. But yeah, I could not have been happier with how that really ended up. And then also, like, the parallels of their conversations with, like, 50 years ago to, like, then the night before another big thing happened broke my heart so deeply.
There's something deeply wrong with them in a way that
there is something deeply wrong with them, but it's quite good. Speaking of, this is a weird mind map I took to ask Dan a question, but speaking of ceremonies, which would have to have somebody...
Speaking of deeply wrong.
Speaking of deeply wrong, Dan! I cannot get my mind off of that freaking mayor losing to that cat. Was that just a red herring of a thing? Like, that was just like a funny thing that you were like, this would be good. They'll latch onto this. Because I swear to God, even towards the end when he was like, I have no idea what you're talking about, I was like, he's a plant. He's a sleeper agent. We'll say the right thing and he'll come at us.
Yeah. Him almost losing to Tipples the cat was just me being like, this is a weird town, and I feel like this is like, you know, their like third mayoral election ever, and there's probably a bunch of little shits who would write in a cat.
Beautiful.
So in the game of Brindlewood Bay, I, as the game master, don't have any answers. I don't know what's going on. I know what's going on, but I don't know who the killer is. I don't know where the mystery is supposed to go. It really is the players are drawing the map for me, and I'm just kind of putting the pieces together for them. So basically, until you guys said we think it's the hotel guy, it could have been anyone. You guys, essentially, you manifested, who the villain is. If you were oh, I think it's the mayor for sure, then he would have been evil, Yeah.
It was so much fun to play. I could never ever run it because I'm a nightmare control freak and I need to have as many details locked down as possible. My session plans for games that I run are in the double digits in pages. It's awful.
But I've got to say, it's such a testament to your ability as a DM, Dan, because you having no map and still creating such a clear place for us to go, even in the moments where we were futzing around and being what plan could we come up with, Scooby-Doo type, machination, it felt like such a fleshed out, colored in world. It didn't feel like we were just kind of, walking and then the path was appearing because we stepped there. It felt very much oh, there's a path. You did such a good job leading us through a mystery that felt so connected and already written.
Yeah, I think just I, as a game master in general, have always been not always, but like have developed this kind of like improv style of planning the bare minimum. Like you say, your pages are in the double digits. I think my word count is like barely in the double digits. You know, like I truly get maybe a page, and like most of it is just names. Because I'm bad at coming up with names, so I like having like a word bank. But I remember when I first started like DMing for Dungeons and Dragons, I had only really been playing, like I had barely started really like playing Dungeons and Dragons before I was like, oh, I want to start DMing. And so I was like, let me plan out a bunch of things, let me write down a bunch of information, like get a bunch of things settled. And when I started playing, I was like, oh, my players are not picking up on any of this, and like they're having a lot of fun, I'm having a lot of fun with them, but I'm having to make up a lot of extra stuff. And it was that I was like, well then, so I don't really need to do the writing down stuff as much. I can just like make it up as I go and like deal with it later. It does sometimes have fun continuity issues where I like say, I was like, yeah, this thing happened 10 years ago, and then like 20 minutes later I'd be like, yeah, this thing happened 5 billion years ago. Yeah.
This is the perfect segue for me to share a nightmare story. The day at PAX Unplugged last year that Dan and Vijay and I played Blood on the Clock Tower together, which was like a highlight of my whole weekend, a highlight of my life, whatever. I had to run because I was running games. And I'd run one on Friday and it went great. And then I got back and I asked for my folder, and some very helpful intern had thrown away my 8 pages of handwritten game notes. And I had a full table sitting there waiting for me.
That's, yeah. And you're like, wake me up now. Wake me up, please.
I was like, I had literally had nightmares like this where I'd forgotten my notes. But it was not a nightmare, it was real life.
Yeah. No, that's awful.
That makes me sick. I've run like 3 games in my life, and even then, like, it's the same thing of like 20 plus pages. I write out every single crevice of anywhere they can go because I'm so afraid that one of my lovely insane friends is going to like go in the complete opposite direction, being like, oh, you mean the massive temple I have to walk into? What does the janitor's closet look like? I want to know what's in there. What cleaning supplies
and you're
you
like,
got?
Page 12.
No, literally, I'm like, Command F. Like,
yeah.
Appendix Q.
Yes, I'm so sorry. That's insane, Jamie.
Well,
We made it through. It was great, but I was petrified the whole time.
Oh my god, I can imagine.
We all got to take a page out of Dan's book now, as scary as it is for all of us.
That feels like a hate crime telling me to be like Dan in this.
Sorry, I'm so right. You're so right.
With that hat on, Tanner is crazy.
Exactly.
So sorry.
And so soon after Juneteenth. However,
You guys are everything you guys say is right, and I've always said that.
Stop.
I don't know if you guys probably wouldn't know this, but that is Tanner's catchphrase for us, and I've always said that.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Dan, I do have another question. Did the mayor believe us about that? the special effects? Like,
We probably thought we needed to take meds, bro.
Yeah.
like how did the mayor
70-year-olds.
interact with us after that as we continued living there?
I think he believed you because the other option was just so outside of his purview of like how the universe works. And he was like, I don't want to examine that. I don't want to like get into that.
Holy.
And I'm going to be honest, I feel like he probably wasn't mayor for a very long time after that. You know? Like, I feel like he probably got replaced, like, within enough.
Brother
like,
almost
within,
lost to
like,
a cat.
Yeah. I think in the next election, like, 3 or 4 years later, the cat won. You know? Yeah.
JoJo's voting for the cat. That's
It was a landslide. Yeah.
Voting for the
Everyone
cat
go
is
vote.
harm reduction and
Yeah.
praxis.
One more question. What happened to the hotel?
Ooh. I think the hotel, like, went under ownership of, like, the Commonwealth of, like, Brindlewood Bay. Like, it became, like, directly owned by the city itself. Like where I grew up in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and there's a bunch of hotels that are like they're owned by specific people, but they're like really actually owned by the actual city of Myrtle Beach, and like a lot of the money that like they make goes directly into the city and like helping the area. And so I think that it's probably something like that. Like the money that goes to it like was what made to like go back into the community itself.
That's lovely.
We helped.
Yeah. Yeah, you just had to destroy like a entity of pure greed. It's fine.
Yo, VJ, you scared me when we were reaching the end of this. And I don't know if I was the only one thinking this. We're doing the, like, I forgot the name of the skill. I was losing my mind because I was like, oh my god, we have to kill this thing. But we started describing, like, our theory for what could happen, and you left it open a little bit. You were, I don't know why, or, like, what, like, no, I don't know why, not like that. But, like, I'm not sure what the reasoning behind it. No, that sounds bad, too! Anyway.
What, Sid, not Jamie. Sid, just say it.
Do we all listen like you?
I wear these glasses for a reason.
You had described that there might be a way for the entity, I think, to keep living, or like it kept having to be checked on. Like if we had put the circle on the guy, you would like left a bit of a door open for something that we would need to keep checking. And I was like, VJ, no.
Well, because I think that was like when fuck me, Honey. Jesus, names are falling out of my brain right now. When like we were like discussing perhaps Honey like saying it out loud or something. Like it was somewhere along those lines where we were talking about this, and it was like, actually, you know what it was? I wasn't sure we could actually kill this thing. I was like, even inside of one guy's body. And I'm like, listen, even if we just have to keep checking on this guy every couple of years and passing the torch down, that's better than trying to kill him.
Oh, for sure. And it's such a cool visual of, like, the next generation of, like, the girl at the camera shop and, like, May growing up and, like, all of these people that are setting up continuing. But there was something in the back of my mind that I was like, Dan's gonna try one last hit to get us. It's gonna be one last time.
I was so prepared for our plan to not work.
It was so, and it made me, when the moment Dan asked who we think was the most, what was it, vulnerable? Or, like,
who had the weakest willpower, yeah.
It wrecked me, because later when you were sending us clips of episode 3, there's a moment, I think, Tanner, where you're starting to describe JoJo knowing that JoJo was going to have to face something and not being ready for it. And then that coming true 50 years later of being the one that it goes after. I was like, no! Because I, like most of us, I think immediately you asked that and I went, who's JoJo? Like...
Yeah. It was 3 out of 4 said JoJo, including Tanner. And yeah, Jamie was the only one who said Honey. Which I think it makes sense that even Honey herself probably would think that. Because it was like, well, I fell for this already. Like, this happened 50 years ago. Like, it's probably going to happen again.
I mean, my 50-50 was between the two of them.
Yeah.
Sorry to put you off.
No, you're fine. Because, yeah, I mean, in the original Temptation, like, it was Elle and Moore who, like, immediately were, like, pushing it away and, like, immediately being like, no, fuck you. Actual quote from Elle. And then, yeah, Honey and JoJo took so much longer because they were really contemplating it. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a question for Tanner, but also I want to say I was prepared for someone to die. Like one, I thought it might have been Honey first off, and then 2, I'd been thinking about it a lot. Well, you were the one that was gonna have something ripped out of your body. That's why I was like, shit, that might kill you. But the other thing I'd been thinking about for, because again, me, VJ, thinking about Slore was like, he's a primordial ooze. He'll just go back and he won't return for like 1,000 years or whatever. You know, like he'll never see his friends again. Whatever, he'll die. And I've been thinking, because I'm pretty sure I told Dan that like, hey, I'd like an opportunity for like self-sacrifice. Like I'd like you know, I said something about like self-sacrifice, and I was thinking about the fact like, already think like, what could I say to Dan to be like, hey, instead of this happening to my friend, how is there something that's sludge can do to like take it instead and then just not be there anymore. But the question I have for JoJo, since we're talking about who we thought was the weakest link, do you think there's any reality where JoJo like actually said yes to the creature? Like if him and Moore didn't have that conversation on the beach, like Sid and I, like right afterwards, were again in a call talking about it. And I think I remember you saying that like you didn't think JoJo would ever do something so self-interested. Something like that.
I don't remember what I said. I do think I said something like that. I think at that point, because the only difference between, for JoJo, it was like what, a couple days ago in his perception, he said no to it. But he had the weight of his mistake, because the last time he said no to it, he was pretty self-assured because of the people around him. And then this time he felt like he had hurt the people around him. So I think the only thing is if he would have had less evidence to the monkey's paw of it all, he might have taken it up on some kind of offer that would have been kind of specifically beneficial to his three friends, and maybe at the detriment to the world, but something that maybe would benefit everybody else and be a detriment to the world. I think that's the only way, but I do think he had enough context of like, and also him with the moment that he got ripped out of the moment that Slow Joe separated, he was like, oh, I fucked up. I should not have made the mistake that I did of hiding myself away. Like he learned that lesson instantly. It was instant regret. And because it was not like a process of learning the lesson, it was, I fucked up. I have learned my lesson. I am immediately filled with regret. He was solid in that lesson of like, well, I'm not going to make the obvious mistake here. So I think if he had less context, it could have happened, but it probably would have been something to the detriment of the world, but to the benefit of you three.
It broke my heart hearing JoJo say, let me go back, just over and over, like refusing to open his eyes. Like it felt like the most fucked up birth like ever. Yeah. It was so good, and like I want that like framed, like that scene in my house somewhere. Like it was just such a beautiful moment seeing the two of you guys like more rightfully like pissed at like being like, you left me, but just JoJo's like going in on himself. It broke my freaking heart. It was so good. And then the thing you said after of like, Elle, if that's you, like shut the fuck, like you didn't curse, but like being like, I cannot do this, and start recognizing people in the world around me, like just put me back, was so
like overwhelmed for like, just like, oh, I'm sensing for the first time in 50 years. It's okay, I have one last question that it's a question for everyone. And that is, what is a moment from this series that is going to stick with you? Either just like that was a really good moment or like a really like emotional, impactful one for you. I can go first because I already have my answer because I already knew the question was coming. Because I made the question up, you know. You see how it's
nice
inside baseball.
Nice.
But
yeah. True, yeah.
The moment in the final episode of all of you in the living room, like on the couch, getting high and drunk and just like crossfaded, and like we, you know, have like a momentary flashback of when you were in your 20s getting high and drunk and crossfaded. It just felt so satisfying. It felt like, for lack of a better term, it felt like a circle coming to a close. And I thought, and like that, I was like, this is real. Like, I didn't even plan this. This is just, you know, the theme is theming, you know, of this, like, the circular nature of life and the world. And I think, yeah, just that you guys, like, doesn't matter how crazy everything else was going or like how angry you were at each other, like you were still able to just fall back into that position. It was just so good.
I want to go before anybody else says it. There's a lot of great moments. I have a number, but the one that I have to pick, because I still think about it and it fucks me up, is Honey saying in my head, we did everything together. It's like literally killing me when I think about it. I'm literally over here like, this is diabolical. You would say that right now.
Yeah, that was fucked.
That ripped me apart.
May I just say, in my own defense, whoopsie.
Eat me.
You may say that.
And the court is satisfied.
I am not.
Enter into the record, whoopsie.
Damn. I have to think.
Mine is probably the moment between Moore and JoJo of the revelation of the decision of I think the impact of that moment and the falling into it, and how my heart was beating hard during that scene, which is crazy. I knew it was going to happen. But that's going to stay with me forever, because it's been so long since I've, played in a game that has made my heart palpitate like that.
I think in that line of heart palpitations, then, Honey's decision to leave the morning after we closed the circle was such a, I was so not ready for it. I so did not realize that was going to happen. And it got me. And then also your description of her on the ferry crying snotty by herself, leaving, just, Honey gutted me. And it was such a good, the emotion I felt as Elle in that moment was more definitely mine than Elle's, of just no, don't go! Don't go! It was so heartbreaking and such a wonderful, just OT as a player having that agency and that thought of this would naturally be the next thing she does. It was such a good decision.
And then I will close it out. My very favorite moment, I have thought about it, I'm going to be honest, probably every day, was everybody sitting on the floor singing to turn Elle back into a person again.
Oh.
Yeah, amazing. And yeah, Blackbird was the perfect choice, of course.
Me frantically Googling when songs come out.
Yeah. Me this entire... I had a list of a few things, of some shows, some music, some movies, but then I was there was more that came out before this that I was I should have really done more of more dramaturgy, and what came out in the 60s actually. Is there any... Oh.
Yes. Hi, guys. For the players. Oh, wait. Actually, and technically for you as well, Dan, since you're more after Slore separates. How old do we think everybody was when they died? How long did we have with each other? 20 years? 30 years? What are we looking at?
What the fuck, my god?
I want to know.
What's wrong with you?
How old was everybody when they died?
Literally in my head, before going into this, I was oh... I wonder. Oh, but no one's gonna ask that. That's a really fucked up question. I thought I was walking at my job, across camp, being I don't have to worry about that. Watching birds fly about, the sun is shining.
I feel like JoJo. I had it in my head that JoJo got to do a little bit with his life, but kind of died semi-early.
Damn.
Wait. How long after?
Not I don't know. I don't want to take away from JoJo getting to do he got to do enough to carve out a little bit of life for himself, but I don't think it was satisfyingly. No, I mean I don't know. I felt
was it
JoJo
at least 5 years?
Yeah. I was gonna say more closer to 8 to 10 somewhere.
Okay, all right.
I think Moore did live after separating. I think he lived well into his 90s. I think.
Hell yeah.
I think he in the 50 years he wasn't with the sludge. I think he took really good care of himself. And there wasn't enough time back with the sludge to really destroy that.
Hey,
with the coffees, yeah.
Hey, hold on a second.
He was doing a lot of ginger shots.
Hold on a second. He still maintained, he for the most part he maintained what Moore was doing. He just enjoyed his coffee. That's where the most part comes in.
Undoing 50 years of good cardiac health.
And you know what?
He was still exercising.
I'm gonna say he was 104.
Hell yes. I think Elle passes at 96. I think she lives a long time. I think it takes a little bit to knock her out.
I feel like Honey makes it into her 80s, if at least partially because I like the word octogenarian. She makes it to like 85, 86.
10 more years.
Are you telling me that, once again, it goes back to just being Moore and Elle? Like it was for those 50 fucking years?
But now we're actually
there's the
together because you
youngins.
chose to visit.
Well...
See, the good thing, though, is that since the events of this series took place in July of 2026, which at this current moment is the future for us, all that is way in the future, you know? So...
We have no
that
idea
hasn't
what they're
happened
living
yet.
through.
Yeah.
I will say that, like, the day after whatever funeral services we have for Elle, that's when, like, Slore goes back to the pool. Like, literally, he's like, I don't want to live another day up here without my friends, actually. I'm leaving.
Is there any one final thing anyone wants to say about this game, this series, or these characters before we, for the last time, lay them to rest?
Thank you. I could not have imagined a better first actual play experience. This has been a fucking dream, and I cannot express. I felt sick going into episode 1. I was so nauseous, texting like all of my friends, being like, I'm so scared. Everyone seems really cool and really down to earth, but I'm freaking the fuck out, and it immediately just felt like the coolest friend group and being in a drama class together. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. This has been freaking phenomenal. Thank you, Dan, for a great story.
I have new friends now, and I've never been happier about that.
I unfortunately still don't want to do things with Dan anymore, but I'm going to be dragged into it against my will, so here I am. And lastly, fuck you, Dan. This broke my heart. Fuck you, affectionate.
Dan, you are masterful in everything that you do, storytelling. I'm so thankful for this experience. This felt very revitalizing to me as a creator and storyteller, as our own show is going through a little bit of a hiatus right now as we record this. So I really appreciate the place within the kind of new trajectory for me as a creator that you guys filled, and I'm really thankful for you all, and I want us all to hang out IRL very soon and do more stuff together, please.
Yes, absolutely. I just want to say I appreciate all of you so much as players, as storytellers, as people, friends, as everything, and I am so glad that this truly a hodgepodge of random people who I just kind of plucked out of the ether worked so well together. And I think for one last time, I want everyone to tell people who they are and where they can find them. I'll start with Tanner.
My name is Tanner as an Arrow. I am the host of the actual play podcast Foes and Fables, and as much as we are in the middle of a hiatus right now, we have about 4 years of backlog content of weekly releases if you want to go back and listen to my voice as well as many other talented performers, interviews, that sort of thing. Thanks for having me on.
Sid.
Hi, my name is Sid Matea. You can find me online at sid.matea, or you could see my cosplay projects, which at the time of this release I should be starting, as I am getting ready for my prep for Katsucon at dovebird.cosplay. While you can no longer catch me at the Westchester Collaborative Theater and the Thomas Hardy Project, you can catch me at the New York Renaissance Fair, which will be opening in August. I'm so excited to travel. Please, please, please come out. It will be a fun, good time.
VJ.
Hey everybody, my name is VJ Harris. I'm wow, you can find me everywhere on the internet at VJ Creations. If it's a social media platform and I'm there, it'll be under that. At the time of this recording release, either it's out or it will be out soon, the fully edited and laid out version of On Call, my werewolf dispatching game. If you like Dispatch, the video game, you're gonna like this. And also, by the time this comes out, I would have already done a couple video essays, one of them being on Obajima and the issues with it. So you should go watch that too. And that's me.
And Jamie.
I am Jamie. You can find me at Miss Jamie Sunshine in the dairy aisle at your local grocery store. I don't have anything to plug at the moment, but I hope you all go out and have a day filled with sunshine because you all deserve it.
I gotta go to the grocery store.
I gotta go get some milk.
I know.
And I have been, I will hopefully continue to be Dan the Baker, your ghostly host here at Tiny Ghost Chef Games, where you can always find me doing more actual plays, one-shots, interviews, recipes, and so much more. So, as I said, I am Dan the Baker. This is Tiny Ghost Chef Games, and we are so glad you let us haunt you. Bye-bye.
Adios. Peace out.
Oh, where's my mouse?
Oh my god, a note.